Hello and welcome to Celtic World, the YouTube channel and podcast that, how should you say, revels in the fact that we are all across this great big planet. Is that right, Brian?
It is indeed, Gav. It is indeed.
From Mount Vernon to Mount Fuji, toll cross to Titicaca, wherever you happen to be watching
Titicaca.
from. You're very much part of a Celtic world. And who we have with us today, Brian, and Ireland's itching to get in, so go ahead, Brian, say hello.
Oh, is that the new Titicaca? Is that the new formation that, what do you call them, playing? Guardiola ladies team. Sorry. Good morning, hail everyone, and what a great day to be a Celt. Poor Clement got the P45. Happy days. We get beat and then they get beat. So.
And that's all we have time for, everyone, because Brian's just discussed everything that we're going to. So all the very best. See you at the next show. David in Bangkok, welcome back to warmer climes. You've just come back from bonny Scotland.
Yeah, I was in Scotland, England, Switzerland for 3 weeks. So it was fairly chilly. I think it got out of the minus numbers a few times during the 3 weeks, but it's nice to come back and get my tan up and running again.
Yeah, very nice. Is it what's his name now? Stephen likes to say there's no cure for homesickness like a trip back home. Are you feeling that way, or do you sort of have a tinge of regret, little tear in your eye as the plane takes off, heading back east?
It's always great to see my family and friends, but there's nothing better than that flight back. Especially, as I say, a week in Geneva is enough for most people, and a couple of weeks in the UK is pretty much that'll do me until July.
Mm-hmm. And when you get off the plane and the warm air hits you, does it feel like home again?
It does. Yeah, 10 years now in Bangkok, and it's never a chore compared to arriving in Geneva or Glasgow when it's 2 degrees or something. It's a bit of a challenge for the system.
Well, it's also never a chore, as Lost in Bangkok suggests, to hit that like button or indeed the subscribe button. And one thing I haven't done yet, I'm not sure how to do it, but I'll look into it, is to make sure that in order to comment, you have to be a subscriber. That's what YouTube channels do, isn't it? To encourage people to subscribe and to make sure that their regulars are. So I'll have to get onto that. So if you haven't subscribed already, every incentive to do so. All right, what are we talking about today? Obviously, we're going to talk about the Hibs game. We'll go through like the main bits of that. There's not too many stills, but all 4 goals. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about how that game informs our approach to the cup game, which is coming up very soon against the same opponents, and is our most important game of the season when it comes around, really. Thirdly, a little musical reference for Brian there. Sheep we're up against, previewing the Aberdeen match coming shortly. And as also Brian touched on there a moment ago, farewell to Philippe. So that is the plan. Shall we get on with the game then, gents? All righty. Oops, we don't want to see the run sheet. That's amateur. Oh no. You mean this is organized? All right, David, whenever you saw the team sheet, were you surprised at all? Brendan's choices.
I was a little bit surprised. I was expecting some changes from the Bayern Munich game. I was kind of hoping that Taylor might have been dropped. I think Schlupp has been a bit of a revelation. McGregor is undroppable. He could play a million games and never miss a game. But other than that, I think having Maeda and Kuhn on both wings, giving Ida another chance to show that he deserves the number 9 spot. It wasn't a big surprise in terms of the lineup for me.
It wasn't a surprise for me either, but it's very easy to Monday morning quarterback, which is exactly what we're doing here, Brian. But some of those decisions, he might live to rue, wouldn't you say?
And you're always going to have that European hangover on the back of our exploits during the week, and had no real worry about this game, and almost sort of written it off from the get-go, because I knew the boys would be on from a massive high to a really extreme low, and changing Taylor and Schlupp. I thought he might have been a wee bit more adventurous with the lineup, but then again, we're down to a core of about 18, really, aren't we? First team ready players. So yeah, it was disappointing, but it is what it is. It's yeah.
Okay, well, we're still talking about the lineup. Mahesh, they're saying that you mentioned earlier this season Hibs will surprise because of their Moneyball recruiting. All right, let's go back to a lot of people's reaction was this: Taylor. And why is he dropped? Why is he playing squad rotation? Oh no, why is he dropped? Why is he playing fucking squad rotation? Some fan base at times. Not sure which point he's trying to make there. But they're talking about Schlupp not playing and Taylor starting. And well, let's cover the first goal and see where we apportion blame if we're going to.
Is that McCowan in the middle?
That's McCowan in the middle, yeah. Well, as you can see from this picture here, Trusty is well out of position, way down by the left touchline. And Taylor, you would think, would close that gap, having seen Trusty out of position, right? Is that why the space was so apparent at this point in the game, David?
Well, for me, it's clear from the still that the centre of the pitch is empty. So I mean, I know that Hibs used to have quite a slope, but to have every single person in the pitch on this side seemed quite bizarre, given where the ball is actually situated. So it was really strange, and I think it didn't take any miraculous world-beating ball to get through our non-existent midfield. I mean, it was really poor. That they could have driven the proverbial bus through it, and chasing shadows really for the first couple of minutes.
So you can see Trusty out of position here. Sorry, Trusty out of position at the bottom of the screen. Taylor's here, McGregor's here. All the space is in front of this guy, and then if we move it on, the ball goes through. Look how the distance now between McGregor and the striker. Kind of lost his man, wasn't really paying attention. Taylor dashing to get back, Trusty well out of it. And then he just slides it home before anyone can put in a challenge. Again, the position of McGregor, Taylor, Trusty. Brian?
Speaks for itself. They've obviously, it looks as if the game's just kicked off. It looks as if it's like the centre circle, you know what I mean, the way the positioning is. But I can't fault the team for what they've done this season, and maybe they're emotionally drained, they're mentally tired, and you can't expect them to be 10 out of 10 every week. They were just turning up sort of really on Saturday, but I can't fault them for what they've done this season. The couple of minutes just shows you at this level, even at this level. We're coming away from, Bayern Munich and all these big nights. The bread and butter can be very difficult of the league. And if you do, you let your mind wander for a couple of seconds, you're 2-0 down very quickly, which has happened. And your guy Campbell did pretty much, other than score the 2 goals, pretty much nothing else. But it's all about taking the chances. And you can't fault them. You can't fault the team. A couple of bad positions about the place, but we can't fault them. They've been fantastic this season.
Mahesh saying lessons haven't been learnt by Rodgers and used to have the centre back chasing his opponent upfield, only to pay a price with space in the pocket. Players following bad instructions from the coach. What do you think about that, David?
I can't imagine Rodgers tells everyone to play down the left-hand side in the first 2 minutes of the game. I mean, I think that's a fairly, it's just schoolboy error. In fact, they weren't even chasing the ball. I don't know what was going on down that side of the pitch. So I wouldn't be blaming Rodgers for that. I do think that I would perhaps disagree slightly with Brian. I think we can blame the players. I think we have been tremendous all season, but for the highlights that I saw and for the pages that I've been looking at before we started today, we weren't at it for the first half. For whatever reason, Rodgers didn't blame the fact that we were playing Bayern Munich, the fact that we had probably one of our best performances in a generation. We've managed to win every game after the Champions League. We were going to have, apart from the Aberdeen game coming up, we should have a fairly straightforward run of games. So I was very disappointed by the attitude that a few of the players showed. And I guess we'll probably discuss Ida and not just Taylor, etc. But I think a few of them were really well off the pace for me.
Yeah, we will look at our run of games coming up, including this one, which we sort of looked at recently and thought there are some points to be dropped here if we're not on our game. And I'd say that's quite true of the next few games. But anyway, yeah, let's look at some of the main offenders. And the main offenders weren't the people who got all the time in Europe. There were those who got a bit less of the time and came in for this game. They seem to be the ones who are the subject of the fans' ire, none more so than Ida in this moment. I mean, Brian, what would you have done if you found yourself in this position?
Straight away, I mean, not I would have passed. I would have just passed it either to. Is that Kuhn? I can't see. Yeah, I think it's.
I think it's Kuhn and Maeda.
Kuhn and Maeda, yeah. But obviously, one of the two of them. But I would have passed to Kuhn because. All right, there's Kuhn on the phone. I would have passed to Kuhn because he's closer to the net. But you know me, I'm not going to be too critical of the team. But it just shows you why we need maybe another striker in the building. Better decision maker. Taylor or Campbell made a good decision, scored a goal for Hibs. So, yeah, not good.
Okay, and like I say, I don't have too many other snippets, but yeah, he didn't cover himself in glory in this game, which is strange. He gives you flashes of brilliance, like that goal that he scored recently, the half volley that we talked about in such glowing terms. And I was saying, if he's capable of doing that, then we have got an amazing player on our hands. But then he can go and have another game where he just doesn't seem to make the right decisions and the ball bounces off him, and he just doesn't look like a player, really, David.
Yeah, I think that, as I say, apologies, I didn't see the game, but the few highlights that I did see, people were saying that it was more his attitude. We know that his first touch can be a bit annoying, but he didn't seem to be chasing back. He seemed to be, sort of letting his head go down a bit. Again, I could be talking rubbish as usual, but I think it was quite a telling statement that Rodgers took him off at half time. I mean, this season, I don't know how many times he's taken anyone off before the obligatory 60-minute mark. So the fact that he'd only got 45 minutes was quite a big statement for me.
Well, it was because we were 2-0 down and something had to change. So, he doesn't tend to do that. But this was the second goal then. Ball being swung in. Doesn't look like too much danger there. Brian, what do you see from this picture?
I think Trustee's a bit weak in this move. Now high ball in, and great header from Campbell, keeps it down. Looking at it, Trusty should have maybe picked them up. Let me see, there's CCV at the front. Yeah, again, an easy goal. Could the keeper done a bit better maybe another day? But yeah, it just shows you at this level, you just can't fall asleep. You have to have maximum concentration. And, this one, I suppose, has been coming. We have ridden our luck a wee bit in the previous away games, but Hibs, to be fair, took their chances and well-deserved second goal for them.
Yeah, it was. So this is the ball coming in.
Yeah.
And Trusty's the only one who makes a move for it. The rest of them are all underneath it. And the guy heads it and it goes right into the corner of the goal. When you talk about the keeper should have done more, what do you think he should have come for it?
He's standing on his line. Maybe he could have. Then again, he finds if it's a penalty. But it was a really good goal. It was like an old-fashioned kind of Chris Sutton goal, head down, let the ball do the work. But the guy took it fantastically well. It was a traditional number 9 goal. Maybe the bounce beat Casper, but we can't. I can't blame the team on anything up to now.
Well, a lot of people questioning Trusty's, defensive frailty. He's been told it's okay to jump, weak as piss. Yeah, he didn't have a great game, has to be said.
Would Scales have done much better? That's the question, do you think?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Here's Alpha making the point that the 3 changes Brendan made to the starting 11 were all subbed at half-time.
Yeah.
Which makes you wonder about our strength and depth, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it could be a blessing in disguise that we got put out by Bayern, because if we look at PSG beat Brest 7-0, we wouldn't want to take the glory of our Champions League campaign if who we got Leverkusen if we had a beat Bayern. So maybe it's just a game too many for us. But I think it's maybe time to put Scales back in,
Yeah.
Give them 4 or 5 games.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then 67 minutes, Jota on the wing squares it to Hatate. Now, Hatate gets the ball here. And David, I'm wondering whether, true to form, you're going to tell me that Hatate played a delightful, purposeful little chip over the defence.
Yeah. You'd think we had rehearsed this, Gav. Absolutely. It was like the most sublime little chip into with the outside of his foot that his vision is just so far ahead of most players, apart from obviously Dyson, who was fully expecting the miraculous pass that ensued.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually, all joking apart about my sort of love-in for Hatate, I do think that the 3 substitutions that came on, they did help to change the game in our favour. But no, Hatate was a bit of a sclaff perhaps, but it was good as always. Maeda's there, with his running and sort of just harassing people. Would Ida have made the same run? Possibly, probably not.
I doubt it. Yeah. So Jota plays it in. Hatate has a sort of, I don't know what it was, an attempted shot that scooped away up and over. And then the only player to follow it in was Maeda, and somehow the ball ended up in the back of the net. So that was very pleasant. Brian, do you get the sarcasm that we're sort of slathering on thick there about the pass from Hatate?
The missed kick, I know you used to. There's a bit of previous with you two guys, isn't there?
Exactly. Yeah, we bumped heads about Engels.
Yeah.
Attempted shot that took a deflection and ended up on Kyogo's head, but David wasn't having any of it.
No, I think it was a miss. I think it was a miss kick because it was done at such speed. You know what I mean?
Well, we're not going to relitigate the Engels one, but we can all agree that Hatate's was an attempted shot. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alrighty then. So we're back in the game. Brilliant. And then it's all Celtic and attack, and everything's going to work out beautifully. And then what happens? We have an attack down the right, very standard Celtic attack, overlap or underlap from Alistair Johnson, crosses the ball, and it's 2-2. We're back in the game, right? Not right. What did you make of this incident, Brian?
If in doubt, give it, and they don't have the technology to prove either way. So they seem to give the goal live, if you know what I mean. They give it in play, and then they go back to VAR. So is it a clear and obvious error? Well, if you have the technology to sort of prove that, then potentially yes. But as Roger says, what did he say? Did you see the camera? So he made a comment along those lines.
Yeah, because he was told it was a Celtman says here, a factual decision that the ball had left the field of play. And he's like, well, you can't be certain of that because you don't have the equipment. And I thought he handled it really well. I thought his explanation was great. I was watching it on the watch along with Dano and Kaiser. And, when you're watching a game, you're sort of, your natural reaction is to think, oh, the ball's just gone out, and because we never got enough replays, and I was kind of reserving judgment until I saw the stills, but it felt like it had gone out, but that means nothing. If you're going to overturn the referee's decision on the field of play, David, with a factual decision, you better come armed with the facts, indisputable facts, right?
Definitely. No, the VAR is only there to correct clear and obvious errors. And it wasn't clear and it wasn't obvious. So, as Rogers quite rightly pointed out, the VAR camera is on the 18-yard line, and you had the linesman who was the best person, with the best view to actually see the ball. So the decision was on field, it was a goal. So unless it was clear and obvious, then you had to give it. And, and I think we were certainly in a strong position at that time. Throughout the season, we tend to score normally at least 1 or 2 goals in the last 10 minutes. So, we would have had all the impetus in the world with us. And it was just Muir being a typical Hun ref. There was absolutely no justification to give that. There was one in terms of one of the chat groups I was in with Lost in Bangkok. He had put up a still that seemed to suggest that the ball was out of play. But I don't know if you saw in Sky Sports a few weeks ago when Gary Neville was doing if you look at the ball actually on the line and then you look at it from 20 yards away, you just get completely different views of, whereas the ball was the ball. There was sufficient doubt to leave it with the on-field.
Can I ask a question? Right, do you ever see when they're taking corners these days? You've got the corner, the wee.
That's the same thing as that, yeah.
And the ball is not
Never
even close to the fucking line. But that one, when I was watching that live, I didn't think that was out. I thought it was nip and tuck. But some of the taking free kicks and taking corners and whatnot, they're not nowhere near it. I mean, they're literally just outside the line. The referee doesn't, the linesman doesn't give a monkeys. What's it just as it could have been costly had our foes won, but we're sort of we're laughing it off almost, not laughing it off, but it could have been critical. You look at the head.
Yeah, exactly. Just because it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
doesn't make it a less bad decision.
It's another bad decision,
Yeah, I mean, it's an argument as old as time. I remember Jimmy Hill explaining it. Remember Jimmy Hill saying the howl of the bull should be the howl of the lion. and I never really understood that. But the Sky demonstration by Gary Neville is excellent. Like a round ball, when the base is over the line, looking from a distance, you can see green all around the ball, so it looks like it's clearly over. But it's overhanging the line a bit of it anyway. We can talk about it till we're blue in the face. Not going to change anything. But yeah, I mean, as you say, David, VAR is there to correct clear and obvious errors, not just to have another guess, a better guess than the officials on the pitch. And that's what that was, as Brendan says. It was just a guess. And if in doubt, which way Muir's going to guess, don't you?
Well, I think also because it was the speed it took place. I mean, Muir's made that decision within less than 1 minute. And if you look at the Huns goal, or the St Mirren goal against the Huns yesterday, it took them about 5 minutes trying to see whether it was possible that the Rangers defender was actually fouled when clearly he hadn't been. That's a decision that VAR could have taken in 30 seconds. But this one, when you're trying to say it was a clear and obvious error, it just, you can only have one possible explanation for that, and it's that Muir is a sad Hun, beep beep beep,
beep beep beep. Shocking language. What are we going to do about that? That's disgraceful. Yeah, well, so that was it. Then that was the game. The game then petered out 2-1. We lost.
Also
On
thought
the drink along.
Jota had a chance before the disallowed Maida goal. He decided to.
Oh, that's.
He went round a couple of people. He should have passed it into Maida, but he decided to go for the shot. And I'm talking about decision making. I don't think Brendan would be too happy with Jota on the back of that. But that goes in. You never know. But
well, so we lost the game, as Mahesh says, against Hibs. Not too huge a surprise. They are one of the better teams these days, especially. Credit to Hibs. They've created a team that's quick enough, strong enough to withstand Celtic's pressure with limited financial resources. Very true. Yeah, you can't win them all. European hangover, all that stuff. We were just
Hibs are informed, but Hibs. You think of where Hibs and Hearts were not so long ago. They were both, bottom and
bottom of the table,
second from bottom. So they have.
Monty's not having that. Monty's not having any of this conciliatory talk.
Right.
But what I said on the drink along was, look, it's a bad result, but hopefully it's one bad result. It's not going to be a succession of them. And this game's going to be forgotten about pretty soon in the midst of time. Little did I realize that events would then overtake us. And, the nearest of the also-rans would also lose their game. And in fact, it would turn out to be the last game for their esteemed Belgian manager with a great reputation. So, as long as we get back to winning ways, this game's going to mean very little, don't you think, David?
Well, the thing about it meaning very little, it means very little for us. But if you look at, I think between third and about 7th or 8th, there's only about half a dozen points. So, possibly at the end of the season, if Hibs have beaten somebody for Europe by 1 point, then, I think this was a decision that people will look back in and, quite rightly be upset about. But hopefully when it comes to the cup game, we'll be at home, we'll be playing our strongest team, and, we'll see a different outcome.
Right. Well, maybe we should talk a little bit about that then. How do we approach the cup game, Brian, to make sure this doesn't happen again?
That was the wake-up call, and just get Sloop in, remove any kind of element of weakness, and that would be in his team selection, whether it be bringing Scales back in. Sloop definitely will need to start and playing Maida up the middle with Jota and Kuhn on either wings. That's it. They will not be able to live with us. And certainly Scales is a lot more physical than Trusty. And I hope that, with the Celtic crowd behind us and all the rest of it, we should be fine. But if you could have any kind of game you were to lose, would certainly, if you had to pick it, it would be the back of a European hangover. But now they'll dust themselves down. We nearly won the game because that was a goal. That was a goal, and the second goal was a goal. And on another day, Ida could have scored that, or Jota could have scored it. But yeah, I don't think we'll make those mistakes again. I really do. I think we'll have no. I think we'll with 3-1. I think we'll do. And the likes of McCowan, I don't think he'll be anywhere near a Celtic starting jersey for a long time. As much as I like him, I don't think he's good enough.
You don't think he's good enough?
No, don't think he's good enough at all.
How many bad games has he had for us?
I just think he's a wee bit out of his depth. I actually would rather have Yang. I know Yang's a different player, in terms of wings and stuff. But I just think McCowan's not the man. I think he belongs at somewhere like Hibs or Aberdeen. I don't think he's star quality enough for us.
Well, most people are quite calm, I think, about that result, and they think it's going to be very different in the Cup. Anton Rogan's left foot among them. If you were Brendan, David, what would you be saying to the team? To put this game behind us?
First thing I'd be saying is I think McCowan's been a good asset for us. Last week against Dundee United, we've beaten them 3-0. They were also on an unbeaten run for a number of games. And I think McCowan was arguably our man of the match. No. I'm not having that. We'll see you in the pub later.
I think if Bernardo's in there, those mistakes are not being made. I think Bernardo is we're missing him, and we missed him the other evening against Bayern Munich. I think he's a critical player for us. Certainly for these next few games. I don't know what the update is, whether he's back anytime soon, but he would be the guy that I would be looking to try and get into the team as soon as I can. But obviously, if he's fit.
Now, Greg Taylor came in for a lot of stick on the drink along. Kaiser's had enough of this. You can't say bad things about Greg Taylor sort of mood among some Celtic fans. But he just can't stand him. He hates when he gets picked. He makes glaring errors. He's just not fit to wear the shirt, according to Kaiser. Is he going to get much more game time between now and the end of the season, do you think? I mean, if he wants away and we have Jeffrey Sloop and he's fitting well.
I hope not. Too much sentiment there, you know what I mean? Just, if he doesn't want to be there, get him out. Get Mitchell Freeman or Trustees there, KT coming back. I would just, no time for sentiment here. There's a treble to be won.
Monty's on the same tip as Kaiser there. Yep. All right. Well, let me see. What are we on to now? We're previewing the Cup game. Well, no, we're talking vaguely about the Cup game. What we're actually going to be doing is previewing the Aberdeen game. So, is there a fixture? Is this going to be a kind fixture for us to get back to winning ways, you think, David, to face Aberdeen rather than a resurgent Hibs?
It's interesting. The last three teams we've played against, Dundee United, were an unbeaten run. Hibs have been an unbeaten run. Now, miraculously, Aberdeen have been an unbeaten run. I think that's 3 in a row. So, again, we can't take it too lightly. I do think that we will play our best team, and and if we do that, we should have way too much for them. But they are on a bit of a run just now.
Here's our fixtures coming up as we talked about. So we've got, if you can ignore the times are what happens if you live somewhere ridiculous. We got Celtic at home to Aberdeen. That's on the Tuesday night, Wednesday morning for us. And then we're away against St Mirren, at home to Hibs in the Cup, at home to TRFC, and then at home to Hearts. So, if it was incredibly tight, there might be some reasons for sphincter tightening, Brian. What condition is your sphincter in, given the gap?
I think it's absolutely fine. I think Aberdeen, I really think we'll beat them 5-0. St Mirren will have too much quality for them, and then Hearts and the Mankey mob. No, this is Brendan Rodgers will, he hooked them 3 guys at halftime. You'll see the relentless Brendan coming up. No worries about Aberdeen. Aberdeen are terrible. St Mirren have beaten the Ken Dog, beaten the Huns the other day.
Amazingly, Aberdeen are still in third, which is really extraordinary.
Shows you how poor it's been. They've been third from about August.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. They're still in third. There's their league form, David. So they've got 2 wins back to back, just coming into this, which was preceded by 3 losses. So hopefully we'll be able to put them back in their box.
Yeah, they also won the cup game, so I think it's 3 wins they've had in a row. I'm not. If we play our strongest team, assuming there's no ridiculous refereeing decisions, there's no reason not to think it'll be anything less than 4, 5, 6 goals. I think on average this season we're beating teams by 2.5 to 3 goals every single game, home and away. So I think we should be fine for for Tuesday night, Wednesday morning for our side of the viewing. And
you think he's going to play the full team, the best team, no messing about with squad rotation?
Definitely. Yeah.
This is one of those games we just need to grab the 3 points. I mean, we are comfortable, but we don't want any sort of rot to set in or any sort of wobble to be spoken about, do we? That's the last thing we need.
Because who do they play next?
Well, the other question is, we could wobble, considerably, but somebody else has to be there to take advantage of that. Are they capable of taking advantage of a Celtic wobble?
Well, the word on the street is Alex Ray is going to be the interim, which is just beautiful. I can't wait to watch him.
Well, we'll come on to that in a while, but I mean, they're all over the joint, aren't they? So, and this was a great opportunity for them to do something. Having seen us lose, they would have known that.
They just don't have the mentality for it. They don't have the cojones, and it's quite ironic because anytime Celtic get beat, apart from when Rangers beat us, they usually lose on the same day. And you think about if you're a betting man, like St Mirren were 12-1 and Hibs were 5-1 or 6-1 even, so that would have been a few quid returned on that double. But I think they're gone. I don't care about them. I never did.
Well, that's it. We've just got to concentrate on ourselves. Celtman saying we've got to play the best team till we get over the line. You have to sort of agree with that. There'll be plenty of time for, giving game time to people in the last few games of the season, if he wants to. The likes of Kenny and all, who I see getting quite a lot of mentions in the chat, like whatever's going to happen to Kenny. But the various players that he wants to give some game time to, he can do that once it's all said and done. You asked a question about who they've got. They play Killy this week, says Lost in Bangkok, and asks, has a manager ever picked both teams before? It's a good one.
I think Rangers missed a trick. I think they've missed a trick not appointing Stephen Robinson. I think he would be a great manager for them. But then we're not here to talk about them. But
I don't want them to appoint him because he's likable. I
Yeah.
like him quite. He's decent.
I say if they appointed Robinson, they would have took advantage of, our slip up. And Clement would, I think he would get it. He would probably get them 5 or 6 points closer than where they are at the moment. I'd say maybe 3 games.
Well, we do seem to be moving on to talk about Sevco. So, let's address it head on, shall we? This is the news, of course. Rangers Football Club can confirm they part company with first team manager Philippe Clement. And people have been able to update the headstone there, David. Chipping in Clement 2025. That's a very telling image, isn't it? That just keeps getting churned out every 12, 18 months or whatever.
Yeah, I think I told you before, Gav, that Rodgers is a Hun scalper. I don't know if you remember the conversation, but certainly, he just sees them off time and time again. And I put in the chat yesterday about an adaptation of the Proclaimers song "Letter from America." You've got, he's got about 6 or 7, Clement no more and McMurtry no more and everyone else no more, and and laughter galore. It's just the banter years that we've had for about the last 20 years. Clement is going to be very sadly missed. But please let it be Alex Ray, or please let it be Barry Ferguson. That would be my dream team if they're listening. Some of the moonbeams that are going on just now, you would think the season tickets are up for renewal.
They need a good Rangers man in there. They're not Rangers enough. They need Mark Hateley with the hand cream. But no, joking aside, Clement lost. For me, Clement, whenever he turned around and said about the sports science, I think around, was it Christmas time, I just saw a dead man walking. And foolish that they kept him about the place to try and save a couple of quid, and it became a complete laughing stock on the back of Queen's Park. And anybody with half a chance of half a football brain probably could take Rangers to the semi-final of the Europa League. That's how much I don't rate the tournament, but it's played it cheap and they kept them on. And that's what happens when you play it cheap. You buy twice. You buy cheap, you buy twice.
Indeed. Well, it's fair to say that Clement featured quite heavily in the video of House of Huns. So maybe as a little sort of parting gift, we should enjoy that again, should we?
Yep. Oh, certainly.
Let's do it. Good morning, all. Have you heard the news? That new Glasgow club has got the blues. No, Celtic is riding high. The Sevco dreams have all but died. Bunch of balloons on Deludum Mall. It's wearing off now, and they're all appalled. Facing the new reality, nothing in the coffers austerity. Welcome to the House of Huns, it's a one-horse race. Welcome to the House of Huns. They've become an also ran, depression's on its way. Welcome to the House of No tax, they evade all that. The L Club died, they denied the fact. Thought they were back as a top 5 force. Celtic's winning all trophies of course. Welcome to the House of Huns, it's a one-horse race. They've become an also rent. Depression's on its way. Welcome to the house of I'm so sorry, but we won't go back to White Rocks for a shit show. My advice really is not to be like me. Supporting this club just spells misery. Party hats come in green and white. Ice cream and jelly, it's glory days alright. Just watch the panic rats leave the sinking ship. New reality, not just a temporary blip. Oh, hello, boy, hello, record. Beloved club is faintly flawed. Welcome to the house of Huns. It's a one-horse race. Welcome to the house of Huns. Wave the town and also rent. Depression's on its way. Welcome to the house of Huns. Welcome to the house of Huns. It's a one-horse race. Welcome to the house of Huns. Wave the town and also rent. Depression's on its way. Welcome to the house of Huns. Welcome to the house of Huns. It's a one-horse race. That's all, folks. That's all, folks. Bye-bye, Philippe. How much did we despise him? You know, maybe that's a strong word. I don't know. But I've seen this argument going on. I've had it with a few people myself about I didn't find him that objectionable, really. I thought he was a bit of a tit at times, but compared to Michael Beale, Michael Beale, I really couldn't take.
Clement, whenever the first meme came out about him, do you remember he got sent off in a behind closed doors game, and he was standing there like looking out
behind the fence?
That was just, they should have just got rid of him then, And to be honest with you, see the likes of Boyd, Souness, and McCann. If them guys had any balls, they would say, "I'll walk through hands and knees, broken glass to manage Rangers," but they don't. They know because it would be a shit show, and it will be. So Boyd coming out and slagging him off, and Souness and all. Souness is have a step up to the parapet here. Come on, let's have a go. I mean, it wasn't so much long ago people were saying get Martin back in for that season before Ange came in. But these guys are chicken shits. They know they've a juggernaut up against them, and Rodgers and Celtic and these 49ers. That's not going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. And if they do, it's based on financial fair play. So they have their allocated budget can only be a percentage of their earnings. So it's going to be, getting rid of all these, getting boys on high wages and getting people in. And plus they have to pay off Beale. They have to pay off Van Bronckhorst and now Clement. Stevie G's not going to come in unless he has a guaranteed war chest. And I'm not talking about war chest about, oh yeah, here's 3 million you can spend. He still thinks he's the arrogance of the man. He still thinks he's a player, still thinks he's a manager. So he's not going to wreck his legacy, so he won't come back. Would you think, look at Rodgers. Rodgers, it could have all went tits up for Brendan, but he came back because he's a man, he's on a different level. They don't have anybody who could.
Well, Brendan came back into a great setup, it has to be said.
But a lot of people
a wonderful time to be a Celtic manager. I know. But the point about Clement is he was going into just a dreadful organisation, and he was so up against it, wasn't he, David? I mean, he was just there to oversee downsizing, really.
Yes and no. He still spent more than we did last season. He brought in, the fact that people like Cortez, I don't know did he ever play for them? And I think they've got to pay 4 or 5 million for him
4.5
at the end of the season.
Somewhere.
So, obviously I've got no sympathy for any Huns, but certainly Clement was, sorry.
Go ahead. No, that's what people love to hear.
A Celtic fan and hating Huns, shocker. I can see the headline now. But yeah, perhaps for your next song, instead of House of Huns, you could use the other Madness classic, They're an Embarrassment. But no, I've got no sympathy for Clement. I think one of the things is that every time he came out, it was a stupid comment. There was the toenail one. I mean, how many times have they been back this season? I mean, even against Queen's Park, they've lost against Queen's Park, and there was people, saying that if we beat Celtic twice, there's only 4 points in it, and basically the league is ours. 2 hours later, and they've shat their pants again. It's fantastic, and it can only get better with Ferguson and Alex Ray at the helm. So please, 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 please.
Well, let's look at a couple more little images here to discuss this. Here's a tweet from glasgowceltic. That's our Ian.
Yeah, Tom English.
Yeah, a timely reminder that Uncle Tom English once wrote this about Clement. And you can read what it says, talking about him having a clarity of message and purpose, driven much of the hubris out the door. He's relentless. Right man, right place, right time, says Uncle Tom Brown.
Oh, they just need, I don't know who uses it, Jimmy, no, what's his name? Not Douglas Park. Who's the Martin Bennett, is it? The chief executive Rangers needs to just get all the lackeys from the record and the Scottish Sun and all and say, we're going to appoint this guy. Do not be putting anything about him saying that he's the next world beater. He says that and the other. Just pipe down. And same with the likes of Boyd and Khan and Stephen Smiley Face Thompson on the Scott Sport.
Just on that, as you said there, just an ordinary boy. I don't have a clue who the next manager of Rangers will be, but I do know whoever it is will be a superb manager with the potential to be the best manager in the history of the game. That's very true. They talk everybody up so much when they come in the door.
But do you know what I'm saying about the likes of Boyd and Souness and McCann? McCann, every time you see him, he's like, I'd love to get back in. Well, there's an opportunity for you to get back in. And if you make a balls of it, at least you've tried. But they're happy to sit on the sidelines and pontificate and, talk about history and history lessons and when we used to be good and all the rest of it. I don't know. I don't care. There's Barry, slaphead.
Tom Selleck was going to go to his bed, but he'll stay up now. Barry Ferguson's set to be offered Rangers' job as a sort of interim.
He got sacked by Kilty, didn't he? He was manager of Kilty Hearts, and then he got the bullet. Tony McGree's manager
as well, I think.
Alloa, yeah. So good criteria for being a manager of a SPFL team.
Yeah. So it'll be fun to see what happens over there. I keep hearing that Celtic are terrified by the talk of the takeover. David, are you quaking in your boots?
Terrified I might end up with diabetes, the amount of jelly and ice cream that I'm going to be eating. I think that if we manage this properly, we should be dominating the Huns for the next 20 years. Yeah. I mean, if you look at when Fergus took over, we had about 5,000-10,000 season ticket holders. We moved into a new stadium, had 60,000 season tickets. We moved into a position of power. Now the Huns have got their maximum number of season tickets. They're in a crumbling stadium. They've got financial fair play, so we can't rely on the Royal Bank of Scotland to bail them out with all the moonbeams, etc. So I think this is a massive opportunity to just stamp them into the dust forever. And, whoever's going to take over this, if you listen to the lunatics in the Daily Record, it could be, Mourinho or, Guardiola, etc. But
that's what some of them are saying in the comments and things.
Yeah, they're in an absolute position of potential another liquidation, hopefully.
Yeah.
So bring it on. But we have the opportunity again to drive them into the dust.
What about the share issue, David? How much do they reckon the raise for that? A couple of million? We should just go and buy it. I would buy a load of shares and just burn them. You know, how much are they looking now for these shares? 10p, something like that, per share. And ours is worth, what are we, £4.50 or something? We're certainly up there. No, it's just this. They're nothing. And for, you know, the likes of Aberdeen.
The shares.
Aberdeen, 23p
shares to pay off Voldemort. That's the only reason they did it.
Well, they've been such a badly run club for a long, long time. The hope that they have now is that new broom will come in and sweep clean, get the board of directors out. People who know how to run a sporting franchise will come in and repair the stadium and add some extra seating and all this. This is what they're talking about. And, you know, close that gap that Celtic have, making more money every other week than they do. So, you know, they say it's the hope that kills them. And they've got plenty of hope now because, you know, it couldn't go on like this. It really couldn't. They need a knight in shining armor. Now, whether these people turn out to be that knight in shining armor remains to be seen. You know, sometimes you do have to be careful what you wish for with American owners. Ask any Man U fans about that.
Ted Lasso, Ted Huno coming in. It literally could be extremely embarrassing if they decide to bring like a Jesse Marsh type character in. If they are bought over and they bring in, right, guys, we're going to be playing soccer now for the Glasgow Old Firm, you know, they're just nothing. They're nobody.
And will they become a feeder club for Leeds? That is a concern.
Yeah.
If Leeds continue to grow and they're pulling in all that TV money and everything down in England, you know, that could be the case. Mahesh injecting a note of caution here, saying, despite inconsistency, Rangers have used Moneyball well. There's no guarantee that Celtic will dominate given their considerable financial advantage. We'll get a better idea at the next derby. Don't know what
they have used Moneyball well, and I think Voldemort has to give the DVD back anytime soon. There you go.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
So my head's put up to have used Moneyball well, and I've said and I think Voldemort has to give the DVD back of the movie Moneyball. Thank you, Gavin.
I was a bit slow. All right. So just another couple of slides there. This is where we are in the cycle. You are here. Whoever put this together, I mean, this is
fantastic. Yeah,
this has told the story of their operations very well. We're at the manager sack, so new manager will be appointed. New manager is a genius. Lose against Celtic. Blame Tav. Results improve. We're back. Manager's a genius again. So we can look forward to these things all happening in the next while. And Celtic Jamie here just pointing out that the headlines are just, it's all just a little bit of history repeating, Brian, as the song goes.
History repeating itself, yeah.
Rebuild Van Bronckhorst, rebuild Warburton, rebuild Caixinha, Michael Beale rebuild, Philippe Clement rebuild. It's a lot of rebuilding.
Yeah, what's that cup they give them, the managers? It seems to be when they get that wee comedy cup, which I'll just show you my comedy Celtic cup that I have here. Keep my pens in, but you know that thing, the drink. It's whenever they get to that stage, it's like when they complete hum.
The loving cup.
It goes tits up for them. Once they drink that shite, then must be like the kryptonite for their managers.
It's the loving cup, and the loving cup overfloweth, and our cup of love overfloweth, because do you know how many people are watching the show right now? 460. 460 people. That's fantastic, isn't it? So if you don't hate what you're seeing, take a lesson from this Danish fan who sent us a message.
Here in Denmark, we totally love Glasgow Celtic. Casper is the latest Great Dane to grace the green and white dynamite. Everyone should click that subscribe button. It's easy and costs nothing. Mon the hoops.
On the hoops, indeed. Click subscribe. No YouTube ad. Nobody owns us.
Did anyone
Lots
notice?
of Brian's jumping in to stop me
Sorry,
giving all the reasons why people should subscribe.
I know. Sorry.
Go ahead.
That's why my brain is ADHD. If it doesn't come out, I'll lose it.
Mm-hmm.
But did anyone notice how much Peter Schmeichel has been kissing Casper? Giving him big hugs and kisses and stuff?
Do you think it's a bit much? Do you think he's playing the doting father too much?
Aye, but what age is Casper? He's the same age as me, isn't he? Well, he's in his late 30s. 53.
But Peter's loving being a media celebrity, isn't he?
Yeah, he's almost
he loves that.
And
he knows that's what they want. They want these father-son moments. So he's always grabbing him and giving him a wee hug. And, which is quite funny because in his career, he kind of let him get on with it. He hasn't guided his son's career, really. He's taken a step back and let Casper do his own thing. I'm sure he's always been there if he's needed or whatever, but he's not that hands-on. But yeah, I mean, bloody that channel with those guys on it, which we talked about on a recent show, Micah Richards and that Scouser Jamie
Carragher spotting the girl. How the fuck? Yeah. Sorry, how did he keeping his job after spitting at a young girl in the face?
Anyway, I can't watch all that stuff. All those people laughing out so loudly and all that. And Schmeichel's part of that whole team.
Kane's good, and the big girl, what do you call her, the Geordie, I forget her name, but they have good chemistry, and they just take the piss out of Neville. I think Martin O'Neill's been on a few of them. The overlap, and what do you call him? Ricky Gervais was on, but no. Righty, I like it. Don't mind Righty. Neville's okay. Carragher, disaster, and Micah Richards, just you weren't even a player. Like, what he play 50 games or something for City? Spent more time in the treatment room. There we go.
Yeah, but we shouldn't pour scorn on it. Father and son, loving life at Celtic. Come on, Brian. Don't be such an old stick in the mud. David, right? It's just lovely to see, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yep. Lovely to see, 100%. Shall
we leave it at that then? A moment of positivity, Brian, rather than pouring scorn?
Well, it's positivity, and it's lovely to see two men embracing the Celtic way. And I just noticed there about the House of Huns. Can you edit out the one where your man has a bum belly?
You don't like that?
I don't like the bum belly, and then the guy's fighting, and you see another big white bare arse. Brian needs a big cuddle. Thank you, 420 somewhere.
You don't like those cleavages?
No, I'm not a big. Well, I am a fan, but not of male.
Not of those cleavages.
No.
Well, on that bombshell, let's wrap it up. 475 people watching. Like and subscribe. Do us a favor. It's only our second year. We're only on twice a week. So if you do subscribe, we're not going to clog up your notifications inbox too much. And we try and make it a more visual show, showing clips and silly little songs and images of the game. Not just 3 or 4 ugly mugs talking to each other, droning on ceaselessly for an hour.
Have we hit the magic figure of 1888 yet, subscribers?
No, we haven't.
Must be
people watching right now can help us get closer to that magic figure.
I will give a Celtic Barcelona program, the one where we actually won, to the 1888th subscriber to the channel, and I don't care where you are in the world, I will post it out to you. There you are.
Oh, you heard it here first. Fantastic.
The 1888th, and then the 67th will get something else. Is the 1967 one. There we go.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks to everyone in the chat, as always, for your crack. You know what to do, troops, says Big Days. Smash that like button or subscribe if you haven't already. Hail to everyone. It's always wonderful to have you here. And we'll see you, as they say here. Bye-bye, boys. See you next time. Hail.
And hail, everyone.
Well,
See you.
cheers.